if you are in class, I want you to talk to your neighbor. What did you use to solve question 1? Our choices are Pythagorean theorem, sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay. What did you use to solve question 1? If you're in the classroom, talk to your neighbor. If you're in the Zoom, put it in the chat. What did you do? Pythagorean theorem, sine, cosine, or tangent? I heard some mumbling in the classroom. Make sure your partner knows what to do. All right, what did we use? Pythagorean theorem. What is Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Just like Friday, if you don't have a piece of paper out, you might want to get a piece of paper out, right? It's easy to do some of these in the calculator, but a lot of them you got to put on paper. Where do I put the 10 and the 7? What letters do they correspond to over here in Pythagorean theorem? What am I looking for? The A, the B, or the C? I'm looking for the C. I'm looking for that X. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 10 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. What is 10 squared plus 7 squared? So 149, absolutely. And then what do I do now? Is my answer 149? I got to square root both sides, right? So you got to square root that 149. When you square root the 149, what do you get? 12.2. And that's rounded to the nearest tenth. Okay. What about question 2? Pythagorean theorem, sine, cosine, or tangent? Talk to your neighbor. What do we think? We're less certain about this one, right? So if I stand on the 46 and I look to the 24, is that the O, the H, or the A? This is the O. Okay, and say it out loud. Even if you're wrong, it's okay. It's a learning experience. Half of you are going to be right and half of you are going to be wrong. It's okay. This is the O because it's opposite the angle we're given, right? What's the X? The H, that's the hypotenuse. That's always the easiest one to find because it's opposite that right angle. So S-O-H, Ka, C-A-H, and Toa, T-O-A. So, Ka, Toa. If I have the O and I want the H, I don't have any A's, so I can't use tangent and cosine. I got to use sine. So we're going to do sine. What goes in the parentheses next to the sine? The angle. Always the angle, right? And then what goes on the top and what goes on the bottom? O over H, so 24 over X, right? We're going to make that into a proportion so we can cross multiply because it's easy to make two fractions equal. When I try to cross multiply, can I do that in the calculator or do I run into a roadblock? Roadblock. If you run into a roadblock, all you got to do is use commutative property of multiplication. The X and the sine 46 can switch places. So X equals 24 stays where it is, and we do sine 46. Okay, make sure your angle goes in here. So if you do 24 divided by sine 46, everybody grab a calculator, put it in Desmos, do what you need to do. Make sure it is in degree mode, right? So if you are in your Desmo, you want to go to that little wrench. Make sure you're in degree mode, not radians. If you ever are doing trig and you get a negative number, you've done one of two things. You're either not in degrees or you haven't put your angle in the parentheses. So what is my answer here rounded to the nearest tenth? I heard 33.4. Is that correct? Okay. Oh, and that's not an angle, that's a side, right? 33.4 is the hypotenuse. What about question 3? Talk to me. I need to see some chats too. So everybody in the Zoom, I hear TOA. Prove it to me. What is it? Okay. The next one is definitely TOA. What about question 3? What's the 21? The O, the A, or the H? H. And what's the X? A. That's the one, that's the next door neighbor. So if you find the hypotenuse, the other adjacent side is the A. So do I use sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine is O over H. Cosine is A over H. And then tangent is O over, wow, this is not working today. O over A. So Candace, I 100% agree. We got to use cosine. We've got the A and the H. So we've got to do, I don't know why I keep doing that. Cosine of the angle, cosine of 35 equals A over H or H over A? A over H. That hypotenuse always sinks to the bottom. Make your proportion. Can I do that in my calculator or do I run into a roadblock? I can do that. So all I'm going to do is put in cosine 35. Make sure you put that in parentheses. And then times 21. And that's going to give me x. So over here, cosine 35 times 12 or 21? 21. And that gives me 17.2. Okay. Make sure you know how to do these. I want you to try number 4 with your partner. So if you're in the classroom, do it with your partner. If you are in Zoom, write it out. What is x? So all my Zoom students, Isaiah, Kaylani, Christian, what is the x in number 4? And then what is the 13? Absolutely. The 13 is the O. And what's the x? Adjacent. So what am I going to use? Sine, cosine, or tangent? TOA, absolutely. So when I set up TOA, what do I have to write? (13 over x). And when we make that into a proportion, what do we do now? Excellent. Okay, and then we just got to put that in the calculator. Make sure you don't get lazy like me and you put parentheses around it. It doesn't always make a difference, but it does sometimes make a difference. Everybody, what do we get for an answer for number 4? Open a calculator. Make sure you can do it. You definitely want to make sure you know how to do it. My calculator is not going to help you on the SOL or in your test. What do we got? Sweet. And what does that round to? Yes, sir. Absolutely. Make sure you round to the nearest tenth. On the homework tonight, it's going to say round to the nearest whole number. So always read this. It really stinks to get the right answer in your calculator and then not put the right answer into the test or the quiz or the document or the whatever, right? Make sure you round for the directions. Number 5, do I use Pythagorean Theorem or Trig? Pythagorean Theorem. How do I know I use Pythagorean Theorem here? Got all 3 sides. I don't have any angles. So remember, in order to use trig, you got to have an angle. Yeah. What was the last one? 25.5. You're welcome. You're all good. 25.5. So then here, what am I looking for? The A, the B, or the C? Absolutely. So we can do A squared, that's what I'm looking for, plus 16 squared equals 27 squared. Remember that this has to be C. That is the hypotenuse, that is the C, always and forever. So when I do this, what is 16 squared? I love Siri. 256. And what is 27 squared, Siri? 729. What do I do now to solve that equation? You do subtract, in fact. So now we need to know, what is 729 minus 256? 473. And that equals A squared. So now what? Square root. Take the square root of both sides. And what is the square root of 473? 21.7?
Yes.
Killing it. Killing it. Killing it. The rest of the questions are review questions. How do I decide whether it is a triangle if I'm given 3 sides? What do I have to do? Add them together and what? So, oops. Small plus medium has to be what then large? Greater than large. Is it a triangle? Small plus medium is bigger than large. Does that work? 8 plus 12 is bigger than 14? For sure does. How do I decide whether it is a right triangle? They equal. So small plus medium equals large? Or is there more to it? What did I miss? This is Pythagorean Theorem, ladies and gentlemen. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That small turns into the A squared. The medium turns into the B, that's the B squared. And the large turns into the C, that's the C squared. So is it a triangle if small plus medium is bigger than large? Is it a right triangle? Has to be Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It is very easy to get these confused if you don't read that little word right. Okay. So this is a triangle. Is it a right triangle?
No.
It is not. So I think that's choice B. What can I eliminate in number 7? Just call out a letter. What can I eliminate? D for sure. There's nothing on line B. So if I read the directions, because sometimes I forget to do that, I'm trying to prove A and B parallel. There's nothing on here, so I can't do that. Did I also hear A? Why can I eliminate A? Yeah, if I'm driving a truck down the road, can I run over? So now I'm like playing Frogger. I'm trying to kill frogs. Can I run both of those over if I'm driving down A? Can I run both of those over if I'm riding down any street? I got to make a turn. Can't do that. They're not connected. Can't do that. What other thing can I eliminate? B, absolutely. Again, can't run both of those things over on one sweep either. This one, I've got same side angles. They are supplementary. That works. What's the slope of this line? Negative 3, 5. What's the parallel line slope going to be? Parallel has that equal sign in it, right? It's turned the wrong way, but it is definitely an equal sign. And then perpendicular, what do I have to do from the warm-up? Flip it and change the sign. So negative 3 over 5 turns into positive 5 over 3. Okay. Last two. Line symmetry means I can just slice it in half. Which one of those can I slice right in half? The first one. No symmetry means I can't do anything to it. And then point symmetry means I can rotate it 180 degrees, and then I can rotate it 180 degree more, and it will be exactly where it started. So which one of those has point symmetry and which one has no symmetry? Last one has point. I can take that Z and I can rotate it 180 degrees, and that point will land here, and I can rotate it 180 more and it will land here. That means R has no symmetry. Last one. This is an easy question if you see it, and it is so hard if you don't. How do I decide? Angle, angle, side, or side, side, side? Does anything match? What goes together? Yeah, the 67s go together. So G and P definitely go together. Can I figure out what C is? If I know 34. So I'm going to save you some time and say that's 79 if you do triangle sum. So now the 79s match, right? I'm putting 2 here because 1 loop means those 2 equal and 2 loops mean those 2 equal. And then I'm going to circle the 34 and the 34, right? Those also match. This is angle, angle. The problem with doing the sides is the 30 goes with the 45, so I can make that into a fraction, 30 and 45. But if I try to come down here, the 18 goes with, I have no idea what. So 18 goes with X. I'm getting very messy now, my hand hurts. And then this side and this side go together. The 48 goes with, I don't know what over here. So 48 and Y. There's not enough information to do any of these sides. I only have one side. Okay. So always, always, always find those missing angles if you can. If you're given 2 angles in a triangle, automatically, even if you don't think you need to do it, find that 3rd angle. Okay. Everybody should have 100% on this now. Hopefully I can put all that into the